Vortex Resistance Workshop, and CodePink has asked us to do this workshop. My name is Kathy Labriola, this is Alice Green, and we are longtime Vortex resistors, and we are part of an organization called Northern California Vortex Resistance. And the first thing that we're going to do today is we want everyone to give us a very brief introduction. What we'd like to hear is your name and what made you decide to come to this workshop and what you would like to get out of the workshop. That way it will help us to kind of tailor our presentations to the information that you need and want the most, because we have a shorter time than we're used to here. So I'll start. My name is Kathy Labriola. As I said, I'm a Vortex resistor, and the reason I'm here at the workshop is I'd like to give people information about doing Vortex resistance, and what I'd like to get out of the workshop is I'm hoping that at least one person in this room will decide, based on our workshop today, to make one step towards doing some form of Vortex resistance. So, you go next.
Hi, Alice.
Brief introductions, rather.
As you already know.
Speak louder.
Oh, thank you. I'm Alice Green, and I'm here to do basically what Kathy told you she wants to do. I'm Diana.
Who decided to do Vortex resistance? You can generally count on the IRS to do the three things that I mentioned earlier. Send you threatening letters, garnish your wages, and attach your bank account to get your money. They have two other things they can do, but they almost never do. They have the legal right to repossess your car or vehicle and put a lien on your home. And they almost never do either of those things. In the 30 years I've been doing tax resistance, I only know of one person who has had their car repossessed. And I believe that the reason it happened was that it was a convergence of unfortunate factors in the fact that this woman owed the IRS a huge amount of money. She had a really good job, but her employer refused to garnish her wages and wouldn't cooperate with the IRS. And she took all of her money and put it in her partner's bank account, so they couldn't attach her bank account and get the money that way. And she had just bought a new car that was worth about 20 grand. And so they repossessed the car about a month after she bought it. So it's the only time I've ever known of anyone having that happen. And as well, she also just coincidentally happened to be on the TV news talking about tax resistance.
Share something, and Janet can add. Specifically, what we have, there's a campaign for gathering, it's 100,000, right?
Right.
100,000 individuals across the country to pledge that by time of April 15th, I believe, if Congress doesn't stop funding this war, we are going to pledge to no longer contribute to war, well, 7%
At
of our
a minimum.
At a
But
minimum.
7% and up, as Kathy was saying, you know.
And so we're trying to get people to pledge ahead of time with the idea that what the pledge is, if we manage to get 100,000 people, then all of us we're pledging to follow up with what we're pledging for. But if we don't get that 100,000, then it's harder for people in small numbers to take that risk. But the rationale is if you have 100,000 people taking the risk, the IRS is going to have a real difficult time going after 100,000 people. How many people do we have signed up at this point?
It's some thousands. I haven't checked
I think
that
it's about
number.
30,000.
That's pretty big.
So that's a pretty significant amount of people to come out publicly.
The most significant thing to me right now from you would be, where do you send this pledge to?
Right
Online.
there, if you're online.
Don't buy busheswar.org.
You can sign the pledge online.
So you don't want anything like in writing?
If you would like the address of Jody Evans to honor those people. And I want to say that we as CodePink are really resting on decades of hard work and patient research and courage of vortex resistance, and these two particular women are you know,
I really have to follow that up by saying, you know, you're right, CodePink is definitely taking it to another level. That we have never done anything like this, of having you know, a huge number of people publicly doing this. 100,000 people, that's a huge number of people.
Yeah.
And my feeling is, even if you have, you know, 30,000 or whatever you have now, you know, 7% of your taxes is a small amount. it costs the IRS more money to come after you than that 7% is going to amount to, unless you're Bill Gates, and I don't think he's gonna do it. So, I mean, it's very low risk to withhold and refuse 7% of your taxes. Very low risk. The worst thing that's going to happen to you, possibly, the worst thing that can happen to you is that somehow they're gonna get you to pay that 7% and a few dollars extra in penalties and fines. So, you know, you're none the worse off really by doing
Right.
this. It's very low risk to take this 7%. If you decide to withhold 100% of your taxes, you're at a much higher risk for more fines, penalties, and a lot of hassle from the IRS.
And I